45 men survived by becoming an island. Every other sailor died. This is how they did it, February 1942. The Battle of Java Sea just ended. 5 Allied cruisers destroyed in 7 hours. 5 destroyers obliterated. The Japanese lost nothing. 0 ships, 0 casualties, total annihilation. 1 Dutch minesweeper survived, the HNLMS Abraham Crijnssen. Not because she fought, because she wasn't there. Mechanical problems kept her in port. Pure luck. The survivors limped back with the news. Everyone else is dead. No fleet, no rescue. You're next. Lieutenant Commander Cruise gathered his 45 men, told them the math. Japanese destroyers do 35 knots. We do 15. They'll catch us in hours. Japanese aircraft patrol constantly. They'll spot us in minutes. Running means dying. Fighting means dying faster. We need a third option. Someone suggested hiding among the islands, thousands of them scattered across the East Indies, all covered in jungle, all looking identical from above. The captain asked the obvious question. How do you hide a 181-foot steel warship? Someone answered. Make it look like an island. The crew thought he was joking. He wasn't. They had 6 hours before Japanese reconnaissance flights resumed. 6 hours to become invisible. They split into teams. Half raided the shoreline, cutting palm fronds, hacking tree branches, gathering everything green. The other half fabricated wire mounting systems. They worked through the night. By dawn, the ship was covered. Trees wired to the masts, branches strapped to every surface. The deck disappeared under vegetation. Guns vanished beneath palm fronds. The ship's painter mixed green and brown pigments, painted vertical shadows on the hull. From sea level it looked absurd. From 1,000 feet up it might work. Might. The rules were brutal. Total silence during daylight. No engines, no generators, no movement on deck. The crew would hide below from dawn to dusk, in the engine room, where temperatures hit 110 degrees for 12 hours straight, every single day, or die. February 20th, first light. They anchored in shadows, killed the engines. Within an hour they heard aircraft, Japanese reconnaissance, flying search patterns. The plane passed overhead, circled back, made another pass, then another. Men below deck held their breath. The plane left. Day 1 survived. That night they moved. No lights, no radio. Through coral reefs they barely knew. The navigator worked by dead reckoning. 1 wrong turn meant running aground. Being stuck until morning. Being spotted. Being killed. At sunset they anchored again. Teams rowed out, cut fresh vegetation, replaced the dying camouflage, rowed back before dawn. This became the pattern. Day 2, 3 men collapsed from heat stroke. The medic did what he could. Water was rationed to survival minimums. Food reduced to 1 meal daily. Australia was still 900 miles away. The supplies wouldn't last. Day 3 nearly ended it. Dawn came. Then an engine sound. Not aircraft, surface vessel, a Japanese patrol boat, small but armed, and getting closer. The crew froze. 800 meters, 600 meters. They could hear Japanese voices now. 400 meters, 200 meters, close enough to see faces. One lookout raised binoculars, stared directly at them, studied them for 30 seconds that felt like 30 years, then lowered his binoculars, said something to his crew. The patrol boat turned away, moved to the next island. The disguise worked. Barely. Day 4 and 5 blurred together. Suffocate during day, navigate blind at night, replace vegetation, repeat. Men stopped talking, conserved energy. Some prayed. Most just endured. The psychological pressure was crushing. They couldn't fight, couldn't defend themselves, could only hide and hope. Day 6 broke the strongest men. Petty officers begged the captain to fight. Go down like proper sailors. This hiding felt cowardly. Death in combat would be quick. This was slow torture. The captain understood. He felt the same. But fighting meant dying in minutes and accomplishing nothing. Hiding meant maybe surviving, maybe reaching Australia, maybe fighting when it mattered. He ordered them to hold. Day 7 was the worst. 5 Japanese aircraft appeared, flying lower than before. Longer search patterns. Something had changed. Maybe they suspected someone was hiding. The planes circled for hours, checking every island carefully, looking for something wrong. The crew waited in metal ovens, listening to engines overhead, wondering if bombs would fall. The planes eventually left, but every man was broken. Day 8 felt different. The navigator announced they'd crossed into Australian waters overnight. Not safe yet, but closer. Dawn came. Fewer aircraft, more distant. The Japanese were behind them now. That night they ran at full speed. First time in a week, racing for Fremantle Harbour. Day 9. Dawn broke. Allied patrol boats on the horizon. They'd made it. 8 days as an island. 1,000 miles through enemy waters. 45 men covered in dead vegetation, dehydrated, exhausted, but alive. Every single one. 0 casualties. The harbour master couldn't process it. Every other Dutch warship was destroyed, every destroyer gone, every cruiser sunk, every submarine lost. But this tiny minesweeper survived, because her crew refused to play by the rules, refused to fight a battle they couldn't win, chose creativity over courage, survival over glory. Here's what makes this insane. The Japanese had complete air superiority. They were hunting Allied ships aggressively. They flew over the Abraham Crijnssen multiple times. That patrol boat came within 200 meters, close enough to see rust, close enough to count rivets. But they saw trees. They saw an island. The human brain fills in what it expects to see. The Japanese expected islands, so they saw an island. The ship served throughout the entire war, cleared thousands of mines, protected countless convoys, outlived almost every vessel in the Dutch Navy. All because 45 men spent 8 days pretending to be something they weren't. The ultimate disguise, the perfect deception. She still exists today. Museum ship in the Netherlands. You can walk her decks, see the mounting points where they wired jungle to steel, touch the hull that survived by refusing to be a warship, stand where desperate men became invisible. But here's the question nobody asks. What happened to the crews of the other ships? The ones who fought? The destroyers that engaged Japanese forces directly? They died in minutes, blown apart, drowned, burned alive. Their bravery is unquestionable, their sacrifice honored, but they're dead. All of them. The Abraham Crijnssen's crew chose differently. They chose to hide, to endure, to suffer in silence. Some called it cowardly. History calls it brilliant, because those 45 men lived to fight again, cleared mines that would have killed Allied sailors, protected invasion fleets, contributed to eventual victory. You can't fight if you're dead. You can't win if you're at the bottom of the ocean. Modern military doctrine studies this operation. Special forces learn from it. The lesson isn't about camouflage. It's about refusing to accept impossible situations. It's about creative thinking under pressure. It's about survival requiring more courage than dying. Fighting is easy. Hiding in 110-degree heat for 12 hours while enemy planes circle overhead? That's hard. That takes a different kind of bravery. The Japanese never knew, never realized a Dutch warship escaped their net. Never knew they flew over it dozens of times. Never knew they came within 200 meters and saw nothing. They assumed they'd destroyed every Allied vessel. Their reports said so. Their victory was complete. Except it wasn't. One ship slipped through. One crew refused to die. Think about the psychological warfare. 45 men listening to planes overhead. Knowing one mistake means death. Knowing they can't fight back. Knowing their only defense is stillness. That's torture. That's hell. But they endured. 8 days. 1,000 miles, zero room for error. The vegetation replacement alone was genius. They figured out the jungle died from heat, figured out brown leaves would expose them. So every night they cut fresh camouflage, maintained the illusion, kept the disguise perfect. That attention to detail saved them. One overlooked dead branch could have meant discovery. Discovery meant death. What would you have done? Would you have voted to fight, to go down with honor, to die quickly rather than slowly cook alive? Most men would have. Most men did. They fought. They died. They're remembered as heroes. But the Abraham Crijnssens' crew lived. They won. They survived. And survival is the ultimate victory. The ship's still there, waiting in the Netherlands, waiting for you to understand what 45 men accomplished. They beat the Japanese without firing a shot, won a battle without fighting, survived by becoming what they weren't. The warship that became an island, the island that was always a warship. The ultimate proof that sometimes the best way to win is to refuse to play. Would you have survived 8 days as an island, or would you have taken your chances fighting? Comment below.